Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is the weekend. Today is Saturday, September 7th. So, what are we going to talk about today? Hopefully, less technical difficulties. But today, I get off the rail on the weekends, sometimes personal development, kind of hodgepodge of things, right? Because I believe in a well rounded individual is more important than business a lot of times. Because it is, you have to be a well-rounded individual to become successful at anything in life. I talked about how you can be great at one thing, but suck at everything else. Is your life complete? And the answer would be no, right? Because you've achieved this, but everything else is falling apart because of it. You may have been, a great startup and building a business, but your family paid the price. It's a shattered family. They don't know who their father and mother is because they're busy all the time. And you're not successful, okay? So stay tuned. Alrighty, so welcome back. My name is Eric, and this is the weekend. This is Saturday. And today we're going to talk about basically three different things. And three different things is going to help you, hopefully, because it did me, change my outlook and how I approach stuff. And the biggest thing is how do we change things? Well, it depends. Like, are you a person that focuses on what you have or what you don't have? Now, just give it a minute to think about it. Because, most of us that are achievers, that want to accomplish great things, we focus on what we don't have to conquer and achieve, right? But we don't look at what we have and be grateful for it. It has no meaning, right? And that could be whether it's a new car versus a car that's a year old, that there's nothing wrong. It has everything you thought you wanted. But now doesn't have very much value when you're looking at your next new vehicle. Could be a relationship. When I hear people tell me that they're having problems with a relationship, I say your relationship isn't the problem. Usually it's communication and your focus. Now, in a relationship, when you first start out, what are you willing to do for your partner? And what are your feelings towards your partner? Now, fast forward that down the road to, let's say, 2-3 years. Kids come along. Got the dog. Family vacations. And you're working crazy hours. And now you think you're at the end of the relationship. Because now when she says, can you do something for me? It starts to be scrambled like Charlie Brown's teacher. And you're just like, what now? What's the difference between when you first met her and now? Other than you both put a few years on. What's different? It's what you're focused on and how you feel about things. If you're focused on things that you don't have right now, you're never going to be happy. Because no matter what you get in life, you're still going to focus on the stuff that you don't have. Instead of looking at your life and looking at what you have right now and being grateful. Maybe it's having a fishing boat. And it's a great fishing boat. Most people are envious that you have this bass boat, right? But you're not. Because you want the new model with the 200 horse and the 99 kicker on it. Now, if you changed your focus to, I've got one hell of a bass boat, and you used it, that would give you meaning, right? Because you're getting a good feeling from it. That's why people that are very successful, billionaires, they're never happy. And why is that? Because they're not looking at their billions of dollars that they made. They're looking about what they haven't accomplished, what they haven't done, what they don't have, instead of what they have. And that focus really needs to change as you get older. You start looking at what you have. I've always told people, the more you have, the worse it is sometimes. Because your focus, again, is not on what you have. It's losing what you have and not gaining in the future. So you spend a lot of your time trying to protect what you have and going after stuff that you don't have. Still not getting it? Well, if you can retrain your brain, all right? Most people's brains are wired to be looking at what you don't have, all right? So how can we retrain our brain to becoming content? Even an overachiever can do this, of becoming content. Is for the next 7 days, look around and see what you have. And put meaning to it, all right? Maybe that shotgun that you have in your gun cabinet was one that your great-grandfather had done woodwork on and carvings and stuff in it. Now, I don't focus on that very often, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's one of my prized possessions. It doesn't have a lot of value money-wise, but it has a lot of value sentimental. It's something that my great-grandfather had done. And it's an old 303 British. And he did a lot of woodwork on it, and he took leather and cut strips and done leather work on the barrel as well. But I don't think of that very often because it's something that I have. I have, on the other side of the family, my great-grandfather was a furniture maker. And I have a roll-top desk and matching bookcases that have engraved walnuts right in them. And they're made from oak. Beautiful. Priceless. You can't replace it, right? That craftsmanship just isn't around anymore. Unless a computer's doing it. The value in that, the focus would be, okay, that's why I think the last couple of generations after us are having problems. Because they're not looking at what they have. And they don't see a value in having anything. It's use it and get rid of it. Well, if you don't have that connection to something, it has no value, right? connection I have is that it's been handed down through the family. And I know my grandmother at one point was offered over 10 grand for that roll top desk. And that was 50 years ago. She saw the value in it from something that her father had made, Grandpa Gilman. It wasn't. Could she have used the money? Probably. But once you get money for it, then what do you have? You have no connection to the money. It's not something that you're, unless you say, well, my father gave me this endowment to go buy a bunch of crap that has no value. Go buy more shit. See, if we spend so much time focusing on what we don't have instead of what we have, we're never going to be happy. And I'm guilty of this big time. This is why I slowed myself down this week, it's just killing me, is I got to change my focus. And my focus has been focusing on things that I don't have and can't control. And those two are a recipe for disaster. If you're spending your time worrying about things that are out of your control and things that don't have any value long term, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to feel sad, you're going to feel, because things that are out of your control and that you don't have, because you're looking at what you don't have versus what you have, are those two things that are out of reach. Why wouldn't you be frustrated and depressed and sad? Your life is spinning out of control. But in reality, it's not. In reality, none of that crap is happening. It's all in how you focus, the meaning you give to it, and how you approach it on a daily basis. And the best thing about it is you can change. How do I change? Well, just like I was telling you, look at things that you have that you think are value. Don't look at monetary value, because if you're a monetary value person, it has no value except for the value in dollar and cents. And what I can tell you with the value of dollar and cents is that it gives less value because it can drop in price. Let's say my grandmother was offered 10 grand 50 years ago for it, but now you can't get 200. Does that give you a different value with looking at it when you do it in a monetary way? Yes. Because back then you were looking at $10,000, and $10,000 was a lot of freaking money, right? But now you're looking at something that has gone down in value because nobody's collecting, nobody has any, attachment to anything from the past that's been passed down from generation to generation. Most of the last two generations have took and sold it or junked it, worse, because it didn't have the same value that it did when it was passed to me. Money-wise changes. Having something that your great-grandfather did in a furniture company, in his own company, has a lot of sentimental value. And it's value that, I cherish. And my fear is, like, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm the last generation. But I've got a Jaguar, and I put it online to sell it. I usually do this every year. I buy an older car, drive for the summer, and then I sell it in the fall. Or I put it in the garage out of the weather for the winter. I don't drive it, and I sell it in the spring. But it was a younger kid out in California, part of the tech industry. And he gave me a feeling like things might change because he said, you know what, Eric? Things are changing. People are starting to collect again that have value. They're trying to put their money into something that they will enjoy. And he said there's two lines of thought. One is investment, but the other is just simply having something that they can enjoy instead of having the money. And what he's saying is that generation, and he was in his 20s, that he is collecting antiques, pottery, and decorating the house, and his wife is very same mentality. Now, if you talk to people about going to an auction and collecting stuff, they're like, well, why would you want old stuff? Why can't you just go to the store and buy new? You can't buy the quality and the craftsmanship from years ago. And if you can't see it, I just watched a family that their 93-year-old mother passed away. And there's 4 kids. And the youngest is 40-some years old. Their mom and dad collected for years. And their mom never got rid of anything. She was probably one of the first hoarders out there. But she had a lot of beautiful antique furniture in there, a lot of cook stove, There was so much nice stuff in that house. It was a gold mine. What did the family do? The family hired someone to come in and clean the house out completely and get rid of it, burn it, take it to the dump. They didn't want anything. Not one thing out of that house. Why? Because they felt that there's nothing that had any value. So I watched beautiful old furniture be toted off and given away. And it just makes your blood curdle. Like, why couldn't you 4 come down for a weekend and go through your mom's house? That's where you grew up. And look at the stuff she has. There's got to be stuff that was her mother's, her father's. Not one of them saw the value. All they wanted was the house cleaned out completely. They want work done on the interior, exterior, and they're going to put it up for sale. That's the only value that property has, is monetary. So there's no personal connection, even though all 4 kids grew up in that house. And their mother never got rid of anything. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. So today, just for the next 7 days, here's a little thing if you're in a MOOC, I call it, or which I did last week, is 1, look at what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on what you have or what you don't have? And if you're focusing on something that you don't have, for the next 7 days, focus on things that you do have, that have value to you, not monetary, that have value. All right? That anybody would be thrilled to have. Okay? That's 1. 2 is focus. And, whether you're looking at the beginning of a relationship or an end of the relationship, you're going to have 2 different meanings, right? The end is going to be breakup, this and that. The beginning is passion. Let me do everything for you. And, it's kind of like business too. In the beginning, the sky is the limit, right? And you're building a business. But after 7, 8 years, the market changes and you're looking at, this is the end of what the business can sustain. And you're going to have different feelings versus when you were starting it up to where it's the end now. It's 2 different meanings, right? So you need to change your focus back to the beginning and not on the end. The end is, thirdly, look at things you can control and what you can't control. If you can't control it, why do you spend any time of money or amount of time focusing on it? Focus on the things that you can control and don't worry about the things that you can't. I think if you give a good look around the house, even if you don't have much, you're going to still find you do have quite a bit. And if you can get content and happy with what you have, then anything you get after that will be a bonus. So on that note, you guys have a great Saturday, and we'll catch you here probably tomorrow for the Sunday sermon. All right.